Services.
Sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
And Siri wants to jump in. My title is the Director of Community Services, which expanded from animal services and senior services to now construction services. If you can't hire contractors to do your work, you might as well do it yourself. So that's what we're doing.
We are just going to give everybody another moment to join. If you are just joining us today, we are focusing most of our conversation today on the emerging struggle / crisis with intake that a lot of people are facing. And we've been doing some polls, and it sounds like we're going to do some more polls today to kind of find out what folks are facing and talk about how shelters are successfully mitigating those. So we have a bunch of resources. We promised 3 big ideas, but we're going to bring many more. So one more minute, we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, well, welcome everyone to the Friday Animal Welfare Leadership Roundup Call. I'm Kristen Hassan, the Director of American Pets Alive, and along with Maddie's son, get to help facilitate these calls. This week, we are going to focus on what is happening with intake, but more than that, what folks are doing about it that is working. So we have a number of shelter directors here to talk about the strategies that they're using that are working. But before we get started into the agenda, I want to turn it over to Mary Smith from Maddie's Fund.
Thanks, Kristen. Good morning, everybody. I don't know if many of you were able to attend the association's meeting over the past couple of days, but it was pretty incredible. I'd say that the association is doing so much right now on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And they gave us so many just incredible resources that if you can get your hands on them, you should. So just want to really convey a great debt of thanks to them for really being able to lead us on this journey. I also, I'm so glad that we're actually talking about an issue today that is of major concern to all of you, because I just want to remind you that one of the best things about these national calls is that everyone can come together to talk about what their problems are and to help figure out what solutions will work for them. You don't have to do this work alone. And I think that's the biggest lesson that I learned last year as a result of the pandemic. And you may have wondered, or perhaps you haven't, why Maddie's Fund has an executive leadership team. I am a very strong supporter of the group process, and I've come to rely so heavily on the other 2 women that help run Maddie's Fund with me. And the 3 of us together have done just kind of an incredible job complementing each other, being there, supporting each other. It's really just an experience that it's probably, there aren't words to convey how successful, how supportive, how essential it's been to helping us as we've gone through not just the pandemic, but other issues as well. So to the extent that you all are sitting in singular solitary seats of leadership, remember, you don't have to keep that seat by yourself. You have important teams with you that will help you see through these problems. Depend on them. And I'm really excited that our friends at CARE are on this call this morning, because unbeknownst to them, what I wanted to leave you with is something that I think is one of the coolest taglines I've ever seen. And it's theirs, and it was on their website. And actually, if you're ever in need of any kind of inspiration, just go to the CARE website. It really has so much great information in there. But here's the tagline. The future we've been waiting for has been here all along. And I think if we can remember that the community, while they may be experiencing many of the problems that you're dealing with, the community, your neighbors also can help you with the solutions that you're looking for. And we need to depend on them. We have to look outside the walls of our shelters sometime in order to figure out what the next right thing is for us to tackle. So I'd encourage you all to reach out to each other if you haven't. Don't think you have to do this job alone, because you really don't. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Thank you so much, Mary. And welcome to CARE and all of our new attendees on the call today. Sharon, do you want to say a welcome to the new folks?
Yes, welcome everyone. And speaking of not being alone, we want to increase this group and the Monday group as much as possible so that we can all share solutions and ideas and inspire each other. And so if you're new, please put your a hello in the chat so we know. We also have a form for our contest that Allison's going to post. If you are new, please fill out the form and put in the who referred you or how you heard about this, because you and your friend could be entered to win an incentive contest for a $50 gift card. And we're going to do that again on Monday. The deadline to bring new friends for everyone on the call who comes regularly is next Friday. So you still have time. Reach out to your neighbors, the social services in your office or in your community, and let's grow these calls so we can all inspire each other.
Thank you so much, Sharon. I want to welcome just a couple of folks that I know who have joined the call. We have Dana Brown, the new director of LA Animal Services, who just took on a huge job. Dana is a long-time-ish colleague and friend, and we're so excited that she's taken the challenge. So Dana, do you want to introduce yourself?
Certainly. Good morning. I had to be sure not to, I wanted to unmute, but not to turn on the camera. And this is for everybody's betterment. Trust me when I say it's 8 o'clock on the West Coast, and I had to set an alarm to make sure that I got to this meeting. I can't tell you how excited I am about this journey that I'm taking with Animal Services. I used to be there administrative AGM. So I'm back now at the helm, bringing with me just a wealth of city experience, which is going to be really good for my organization, because one of the problems that we have had in Los Angeles is that lots of our directors don't have some kind of the connections and the administrative connections needed in order to get things done quickly in the city of LA. We are full of red tape and so, I'm bringing that to the table and really excited to share all of my experience and try to get Animal Services to the next level. And thanks to all of you who have reached out and have helped me I think I've been on the job like 4 weeks. But in those 4 weeks, I have heard from a number of people on this call, and I so appreciate the support, and I look forward to working with all of you.
Thanks so much, Dana. Welcome. And then I also want to mention Erin Greenwood is back with us. Those of you who know Erin know she needs no introduction. But since there's some new folks in the field, since Erin's been writing her world-changing animal welfare pieces, Erin, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and what brought you back?
Oh, sure. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. I'm doing some communications work with Haas right now and just loving every second of it. I used to be an animal welfare journalist. I was the animal welfare editor at the Huffington Post. And after that, wrote for a whole lot of different places, the Dodo, the Washington Post, the Today Show. I did some writing for Best Friends and just have been around and known a lot of you for a long time and been big fan of all your work. And for the last few years, I've been on the communications team at Animal Legal Defense Fund, and then more recently, White Coat Waste Project. And now I am just so thrilled to be working with Haas and helping you guys out and helping animals. And thanks for having me back.
Thanks, Erin. There's a lot of comments in the chat. We all missed you.
I missed all of you too.
It's good to see you. I'm glad you could join us.
Yeah.
So we have, if you are new on the call and you didn't get a chance to introduce yourself, please tell us who you are and where you're from in the chat. And as you do that, we want to start today with kind of the worst and the best of what's happening right now. And we want to set the stage for the importance of today's conversation. And just a reminder, this will be recorded. And it's going to be important because there are going to be a lot of immediately usable resources that are discussed here. And we're going to start, Bobby, would you mind sharing the blog that was released yesterday on Haas? So we're putting a comprehensive things to do now if you're in a space crisis blog. And it has many of the links we're going to cover today, but not all. So we're going to start actually with the shelter that is really, really struggling right now and needs immediate help. I told Donna, I said, we've got a lot of people to get to today. You've only got a couple of minutes, but I think it's important enough that you take the time, Donna, and tell us what's happening. And really appreciate Donna, who's always extremely transparent and upfront. So Donna?
Yes, thank you for having me today. We are, when Kristen says the worst of the worst, I mean, I think that Palm Valley Animal Society falls within that category. We are in the southern tip of Texas, really on the Mexican border for all intents and purposes. And our community has not embraced modern animal welfare practices. We are doing everything we can to bring them along, but it's a very slow process. Between January and now, our intake has gone up between 30 and 40%. We had that little dip that everybody had during COVID, and we were able to manage and actually reach no kill in a community where just a few years ago we were at a 27% save rate, and now we were at a 90% save rate. We've been up as high as 95, but with what's going on right now, we are at beyond maximum capacity in our shelters right now. We currently have 823 dogs in care and 352 cats. The majority of those are neonates, kittens, moms, and things like that. I saw the blog post yesterday, and we are doing as many of those things as we physically can with our current staff limitations and what we have going on. But we still see that we're falling behind on a daily basis with 7 and 8 animal control trucks lined up full of animals being dropped off. We've met with we don't actually have control of animal control. We contract with those agencies. We've brought in El Paso Animal Control that were so generous to come out and visit with these folks and do ride-alongs for those that would allow them. Several would not even allow them to ride along with them to help do those progressive programs and show them what can actually be done. We have put a person in place that's an intake diversion coordinator. We're trying to talk to all those people that are surrendering their animals and saying what they can do. We've got the home-to-home site up and we're actively using it, but we're not getting the turnaround. We're not getting the embracing of what we're doing to happen in the community at a pace that we need it to do in order to be successcul and not have to go back and start euthanizing animals for space. And Donna, we don't want to do that.
Donna, we have just a second, so I want to ask you some pointed questions. What is your current inventory of animals right now?
1,175.
And are you currently having to euthanize for space?
We are triaging what we need to do. Those animals that we were holding on to for behavior issues that we've been trying to work with are having to go. We are imminent, probably next week, we'll have to look at euthanizing for space. We've got 3, 4, 5 dogs in a run. We're trying to match them up as quickly as we can, but they're coming in faster than we can match them up.
And can people pull, do you have healthy animals that people can pull now? Okay,
Yes,
so
we do.
if people want to pull animals now, I want to say that we do have some funding available for that to happen, for ground transportation related funding. But really, I mean, this is the time of year when folks need to just come down and get animals. It's a far drive, it's deep into Texas, but 3 to 5 dogs in a kennel is reality, and most of them are highly adoptable. Many of them are not huge dogs. So Donna, can people reach out to you today, and how should they get in touch with you?
Yes, they can. I'll put our rescue link in the chat, but it's rescue@pvastx.org. And our team will get with you. We'll fast track you through to becoming a placement partner and do everything we can to help facilitate moving those animals to you.
Thanks, Donna.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we want to turn to a brighter spot in what's happening right now. We have Mike Wheeler here from Cabot Animal Services in Cabot, Arkansas. Mike not only oversees animal services, but a whole lot of other things. And as we've been reaching out to organizations to say, how are you doing on space? Mike had a rather unique answer. So Mike, take it away.
But Donna, I feel for you, and I really hate to follow your news with my news. We're quite the opposite. We're less than 22% pre-COVID numbers. I mean, right now in my kennels, I have 2 dogs and 15 cats. That's it. So I want to reach out to you, Donna, see if there's anything we can help you with. But it's and I'm a smaller shelter. We all know that. But I'm less than 22%. It's just we took COVID as an opportunity to put in 24 programs with no funding whatsoever. We just said, this is what we're going to do. If somebody needs help, we're going to give it, and we'll find a way to take care of it. Now, since this has happened, luckily Maddie's fund and Petco and a couple others have stepped forward to help us with some of those programs. But we have a philosophy here, and I wish I could go step by step and tell you everything we do, but failure is not an option for us. So we say, this is what we're going to do. We do it. Our intake programs are working phenomenal. Our first 48, I believe y'all had that on here a week or 2 ago. That is amazing. We have very few strays coming in. Close to 80% of the strays calls we get are going back home before they ever come in the first 48 hours, because the people who find them are fostering them. I just wish that I knew what else to say. You know, we say what we're going to do, and then we do it. My staff has been very good about not questioning anything. I'm in everything, as you know, senior services, construction services. I'm at the mayor's office every day. So my relationship within the city has helped that. And I'm not sure what else to say, Kristen. We're doing well.
Mike, can you talk about the Hold for 48 ask that you made to the community and how that's working? I think that's an especially critical program.
Yeah, and we call it an ask, but I'm gonna step a little off here and say something that, so if you're offended easily, don't. My grandpa always taught me you have to be able to tell somebody to go to hell, but make them look forward to the trip. So with that being said, we don't really give them the option of holding 48 hours. We explain it in such a way that if they hold that animal 48 hours, 80% of them will go home. If they bring them into the shelter, less than 17% go home. So if we appreciate you because you cared enough to pick up this animal off the street, you were compassionate enough as a citizen to do that. Take that compassion one step further and hold it for that first 48 hours. And we'll help you if you need resources for posting on websites. We'll post them for you if need be. But let's see if we can't get that animal home then. And then after 48 hours, if they still haven't come in, they still haven't found the owner, bring them in. We're more happy to help you. We'll help you with food during that time. We'll help you with flea and tick meds, anything like that we need to help you with. But let's give that animal a chance of going home. And we appreciate you picking them up. And that's been our biggest savior there, where they're just not coming into the shelter.
Thanks so much, Mike. So with that sort of setting the stage, we have a few poll questions for you today. And you can either answer for your own shelter or on behalf of your community. And these poll questions are sort of helping us assess the situation and understand a little bit better what people are seeing overall. So, so I guess, Allison, do you mind launching that first question? Okay, so the first question is intake at my shelter. And again, if you want to speak for the shelter in your community, if you know, intake at my shelter is staying the same, going up a little, going up a lot, going down a little, or other. And if it's other, you can comment in the chat area.
Kristen, is this compared to last year or compared to pre-COVID?
Compared to last year. All right, do we have that response? Okay, it looks like most organizations are saying going up a little, followed by going up a lot. So everybody, it looks like 76% are saying going up somewhat. Just a few of you are saying going down, and others are saying staying the same. So that's great. And let's launch that second poll question as well. Current pet intake at my shelter is, and this is specifically related to 2019, not last year, the same as 2019 intake, more than 2019 intake, less than 2019 intake, or other. So we really need to measure against not just 2020, which was such an odd year, but against 2019. And while we wait for that poll question, what we think that we're seeing is that intake is up and that it's not quite to 2019 levels. However, a lot of new staff were hired during COVID. A lot of people got used to operating with fewer animals. And so it seems like a hard hit. And it sounds like a lot of organizations are also understaffed right now. And so it's sort of a worst case scenario. And I got an email in the chat about accessing money to help Palm Valley, and I'm going to put my email. Or Bobby, would you mind putting my email in the chat if you do need financial support to pull animals from Palm Valley? And could you reach out to me? Okay, current pet intake at my shelter, 52% say less than in 2019, 25% say more than in 2019, and 16% say the same as 2019. So we're still looking a little lower than 2019 numbers, which is good news. And finally, we have one more to share. One more poll question. Okay, at my shelter, we are A, open admission with immediate intake of all animals, B, open admission with scheduled or appointment-based intake, C, limited admission with scheduled or appointment-based intakes, or other. And this matters because depending on how most of our organizations operate, we're dealing in really different environments. So what we suspect is that most organizations are using some type of scheduled or appointment-based intake, whether they're open admission or not, but we shall see.
Is this, Kristen, is this for normally or now?
This would be your current operating status. So 61% are open admission with scheduled or appointment-based, 11% open admission immediate intake. Limited admission with scheduled or appointment-based intake is 22%. If you're an organization that is open admission and has immediate intake of animals, 11% of you, this might be a helpful graphic for you to screenshot, because you can share this with government leaders and show them that more often than not, even open it. In fact, I'm going to screenshot it for this purpose. More often than not, even open admission shelters are going off of a managed or appointment-based intake system.
In Los Angeles, we are having a hell of a time with this because we normally are open admission with immediate intake. And Brenda for years was trying to move to an appointment-based intake. Of course, COVID pushed us into that. And now I'm trying to maintain it, and the community is just, you know, because they see it as some sort of limitation, right? And they don't like to be limited in Los Angeles for any reason. Thank you very much. And so this is something that I have been, you know, working with, asking. In fact, Best Friends had given me some information to kind of help, you know, sort of push this agenda so that we can continue on an open admission with appointments, you know, just so that the community can see, you know, what the, you know, all of the upsides of what that is. And knowing that most people operate that way across the country is very helpful.
Great, that's awesome. And we're going to do some more polling on that as in other areas, because we are trying to show that that's the norm, not the exception, because you're among a handful of shelters that are also struggling with that. So thank you for sharing that. And it sounds like Julie Bank also struggles with that. I know Payment, they're struggling with that too.
Hey, Kristen, I have a question. Is that open admission immediate for strays, or is that just, are they making appointments for strays or just owner surrenders?
When I use the term open admission, I am referring to government or government contracted shelters that are mandated to take in animals. Some of those are only mandated to take in stray animals. Some of those are mandated to take in all the animals. It depends on the community.
I'm sorry, maybe I didn't explain that right. So with these open admission shelters, are they making appointments for strays to come in also, or is it just owner surrenders?
Some are. It depends. Some are, and that is in that blog we posted. There's some information about that as well. Okay, so we want to ask you one more, if you can handle one more poll question. We want to know what's your biggest challenge right now. So we have one more and then we promise no more, but this is so helpful to get this information from you. So our biggest current challenges are, and you can check all that apply, not enough staff or capacity, meaning capacity for work. That's, I guess, a little confusing. Sorry about that. Kitten intake, big dogs with behavioral challenges, mental health, emotional health of staff and or volunteers, animals staying in the shelter too long, too many animals coming in general, or other. So you want to know what your biggest challenge is right now. Because for some folks, that is going to be the animals that have been sticking around in the system too long. And for some folks, that's going to be kittens, puppies, and the usual seasonal intake issues. So you can check all that apply though. Lower adoption numbers. Oh yeah, we've been hearing about that as well. Adoptions and fosters have been lower. Nancy McKinney says biggest challenge is figuring out reopening details. Yeah. Okay, so it looks like big dogs with behavioral challenges is the standout, followed by not enough staff capacity, 44%, followed by mental emotional health of staff and or volunteers, followed by kitten intake, followed by shelters staying in the shelter too long, and then the two last ones, too many animals in general or other. So it sounds like the big dogs with behavioral challenges continues to be our hardest to solve problem, and that staffing issues are playing a key role. Most of you said you're having some kind of staffing issue happening, whether it's short-staffed or people not doing very well. So it's really helpful. Okay, so we're going to turn now to Kelly Dewar, who is here from Maddie's Fund. We are hearing a lot that organizations aren't getting fosters. And as people that scour the internet and look at what you're doing to get fosters, it's driving us a little crazy because there's a lot more you could be doing. And so she's here to tell you just a couple of really quick tips. Make these changes right now, and you're going to see a huge difference in the number of foster homes you're getting. So Kelly, take it away.
Thanks. So I've been working on some emergency foster resources and looking at some of your social media pages to see what the messaging and things. So one of the things about the messaging with emergency foster is that just a small tweak can make or break the entire initiative. One thing that I think is the easiest change that just about everyone can make to their communications about emergency and the need for the population crises is to make foster as just as important as adoption. Put it in that first line. We need adopters and fosters. A lot of the time we tend to say we need adopters, and then farther down the page we say, oh yeah, we also need fosters. That makes the public think it's not that important, and people already don't realize how important foster is. You do have a lot of you probably have pets who can't make it to adoption without foster, like tiny kittens. So make foster just as important as adoption in your news releases and in your social media posts. Second, have a call to action. If you're saying we need adopters, fosters, put the links to sign up to foster, to see your pets on that post, in every post. The third one is put the why. If you have, just taken in 100 cats from a hoarding case, let people know these are the reasons behind why you need their help for fosters and for adopters. And the last thing is including those details, like Palm Valley has 3 to 4 dogs in a run. They're doing everything they can, getting people the picture of what's happening in people's minds. Like these are the details of why they need our help. That helps to motivate people as well.
Thanks so much, Kelly. So we're going to have you on the AMP Up platforms and Haas talking a little bit more about these. But one of the ones we're seeing a lot of is that people aren't mentioning foster in their pleas for adoption. That's happening everywhere. And then the other thing that we're seeing a lot is people aren't posting the link to sign up. So they might say we need fosters, but in this world we live in, if you're not posting the link, you might as well not ask the question because people just aren't seeing it. So those two, send that email to your communications person today and make sure that they're doing both of those things. That'll help a lot with foster recruitment. So I'm turning now to somebody who is pretty awesome at getting fosters. We have Teresa Johnson here, the executive director at Kansas City Pet Project, to talk a little bit about what they are doing there.
Hello. Yeah, we, like many other shelters, are really experiencing a large intake in animals right now, especially dogs. So at the beginning of the year, we were still rolling along where we actually reached out to other shelters, and we're an open admission municipal shelter for Kansas City, Missouri. And so we typically are not a shelter that can take animals from other shelters, but we have been able to do that early in the year. Well, all of a sudden, it's like things opened up, the mask mandate left Kansas City, and things have changed dramatically here. Our intake is up significantly. So in May, for example, we had 111% increase in stray animals coming in from 2019 and a 94% increase in owner surrenders from 2019. So we have 1,064 animals in our system. Thankfully, 640 of them are in foster, but we knew that we needed to do something. Our RTO numbers are flat really from 2019, and we need to do more. Adoptions had been robust, but it has really kind of gone down lately. And so we're getting in a lot of dogs. In fact, it's the highest number of dogs we've ever taken in our system in our history in May. So what we needed to do was to figure out how people could reclaim pets easier. And we realized that when people reclaimed pets with us for years, you would come to the shelter, you would have impound fees, you would have boarding fees, and you would have fees associated with buying a city license. And then after you took your animal home, the city animal control division would follow up with ticketing you for a pet at large and not having a city license. And so you got all of this financial burden placed on you, and it really was an incentive to not go to the shelter and pick up your pets. And so we have now implemented a new program to hopefully incentivize people to come to the shelter and to come to the shelter quicker to get a lost animal, and also to relieve the financial burden that's been maybe causing some people to not want to reclaim their pets. And now that we run the animal services division for the city, we also have the ability to waive those citations that people have been burdened with for years following coming to the shelter to reclaim. And so this week we launched our reclaim fee forgiveness program. And so we have gone public to say, if you come and reclaim your pet in the first 2 days, there are no reclaim fees whatsoever. We do still require people to buy a city license because that's required through our city. But other than that, we want you to just come, get your pet out of the shelter, take it back home. And we are guaranteeing that we're not doing any citations for anyone who comes to reclaim their pets. Tori put out a press release. Do you want to talk at all, Tori, about kind of how we've gotten the word out about this? And I will say that we're already seeing some results from this. I checked our RTOs last night, and we had 3 people yesterday that came and took advantage of the program. Their dogs had come in yesterday or the day before, and they came in and left with their dogs with no fees.
Yeah, we worked really hard to get the word out about it. We're still doing quite a bit, but of course we put it out on our Facebook page. And the best thing about that was that people posted it in most of the neighborhood groups around town and all of the lost and found groups. There are currently 48 lost and found pet groups in Kansas City, quite a lot. So people have been sharing it there, and then the neighborhood groups is really important to get the word out. And we're doing a TikTok video series on this, and also just like how to, get your pet back home. If you find a pet, what to do. We're going to start working on that. Our TikTok page has grown significantly in followers, using that quite a bit. The news picked it up and as well. And then we've been really working hard this year to try to do more media outreach with a lot of the community papers, as well as Spanish speaking radio stations. And so we've been working hard to do a lot of outreach with them, and they've been sharing the article as well. So we're reaching out directly to those publications to see if we can do more in-depth articles with them.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. And Tori, are you going to post that a link to that amazing TikTok video that just went viral? Amazing. Yes. How many views did that thing get?
Well, Katie that works for us, she posted a video that went viral. It currently has 41 million views on it, and her TikTok account, her personal one, has almost 2 million followers. So she's got quite the reach.
We all need to hire a social media influencer to work in our animal shelters, I think is the lesson learned here. Okay, so we have several more folks to get to, and I know we're kind of cruising right along today, but we want to get as many resources out as we can. And remember, the recording to this will be posted on the Facebook page, so you'll be able to share it later today with anyone else who needs to see it. Want to turn now to Chris Fitzgerald, one of our Haas pilot shelters. Cool shirt, Chris, and welcome. You all are managing to change things in your shelter during this time. So why don't you go ahead and tell us what you're up to?
Yeah, so like Mike, we're not Mike Cabot, we're not in the worst of situations here. Our numbers are kind of creeping up to pre-2020, but not to 19 levels. But so we're doing some field return work. I think most of us in the industry have been. I was going to share some of what we're doing, not because we're doing it as best as we can, but because we've been doing it for like 4, 5, 6 years. So we have some numbers on it. Our animal services, we're municipal animal care and control for the city of Rochester, New York. They respond to calls for loose dogs. We go out in the neighborhoods, find the dogs. And, first and foremost, it's about trying to figure out where the dog lives. So, following them home often is what our animal services officers are doing. And I say follow because we're not always, looping them with a control pole or a rope leash, but often just walking with the dogs back home. Sometimes we do rope them using a rope leash and have the dog kind of guide us home. We're asking neighbors that we're encountering, do you know where the dog lives? We're looking for signs in the yards that a dog resides there. We're knocking on doors, speaking with people at the houses. And what we often do is use like a notice of information that we're leaving a dog here. We found this dog roaming. We think that it belongs here. Call our office. Let us know if this was your dog. Did we bring it back to the right house? So in doing these things, we're finding that at least half of the animals, like the same number of animals that get reclaimed from the center, are getting brought back to their homes. So collectively, this year we're over 66% return to home rate for dogs, emphasizing dogs there because the cat rate is not phenomenal. And I think this is good. We've come from like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, we were in the 40%, 45%, and then 52%. So we're going in the right direction. But I tell my team, 90% or more of these dogs are owned. So, they're not packs of roaming dogs. So, the goal here is to get them all home without them having to come to the center. So those are some of the tips. We do use flyers, but we've been using our notices more often. I think we're going to be doing more with flyers as we build our volunteer pet reunification team. So look for hopefully these numbers and the RTH rates to increase in coming weeks.
66% return to home rate.
That's the combined from the shelter and the field.
Amazing.
The dog.
That number sounds impossible to lots of folks on this call, I'm guessing. That is incredible. Wow. Thank you so much, Chris, and thanks for all the work you're doing. That's great news. Okay, so we have, next we have Shelly Sims from Greenville. And if you're not following Greenville Animal Services, you should be. They're just one innovation after another. And every time I look at their website, they're doing some new program. And notably, they have really dived into supported self-rehoming. Shelly's been here to talk a little bit about that, but that's not the only thing that Greenville's doing. So Shelly, over to you.
Thanks, Kristen. Hi, everyone. I'm sorry everyone's having such a hard time, and believe me, we're feeling the crunch too. We have our cages and kennels are pretty full, but we are not yet up to pre-COVID numbers. I think we're down still about from month to month. In 2021, we've been down anywhere between like 15 to 25%. So I think year to date we're a little less than 20% down. So we certainly can't complain, although we're really feeling it at our shelter because of staffing issues. We have like 15 vacancies. So, but we've been trying to do the best that we can to combat, animals coming in any way that we can. And so for the last 10 months, we've been piloting a supported self-rehoming program at our shelter. right from the beginning, I actually dedicated an employee to working on that, developing the program. I think she's actually going to be talking on the Monday call, Casey. So you have a chance to join the Monday call, but she has done a fantastic job. We've helped keep over 600, I think it's close to 625 animals that would have otherwise come into the shelter. We've put them through a self-rehoming program. We use both home to home and adopt a pet by rehome. And then she really is there to hold their hand and make them feel comfortable about it and support them throughout the process and kind of be the cheerleader. So we've seen about a 75, a little more than a 75% success rate. And then some of the people with actually adopting them out, some of the people end up keeping their animals, but less than the big thing is less than 10% of the people that put their animals on our supported self-rehoming site and work with Casey, less than 10% of them ever come into the shelter. So, you know, we feel pretty good about that program, and I think it's only going to grow. I've dedicated more of Casey's time to that, and she's got some other ideas that she's working up to kind of help keep more animals out. But that's just one. We also, you know, we have a lot of other things, HOS initiatives that we've been doing. I would really encourage you. One of the things I always have to touch base on lost pets, because Jean is on the call and she's expecting me to, I'm sure. But with lost pets, we've put out, we use the text for info option, and that has been incredible. And it just keeps growing every month, and it doesn't cost hardly anything, and it's almost no oversight at all. And really it's, you know, they can text lost or found, and now we have that they can text kittens, and it runs them through the whole realm of what to do if they find kittens. And so that's really helping with, I think, otherwise seeing a huge increase of intake if we hadn't done those kind of things.
Thank you so much, Shelley, and thanks to all of our directors who spoke. I got a chance to reach out to several of you this week, and several folks reach out to me, but if you didn't get to reach out and you have something you're doing that's working and you want to share now, you're a director of a shelter where you're like making it happen. I know Philip Zimmerman put a couple things in the chat. If you want to share now something you're doing that is working, now's the time, so jump in.
I can speak. It's Elizabeth Manwiller from Animal Rescue League of Berks County. I put a bunch of stuff in the chat, so there's been a lot of conversation about things like Wait While. I highly recommend Wait While. It's been a game changer for us. We stopped doing adoption scheduling because we just couldn't fit enough people in a day. And, you know, some interactions take 15 minutes, some interactions take 2 hours. But Wait While has really allowed us to move people through the system faster and be able to get to more people. And it's just a great conversation piece because people aren't going, am I next? Am I next? Am I next? So it makes the system move a lot faster. We're also, for fostering, we're working on a foster referral program. So if our current fosters refer people to us, they can get things like gift cards, and we have a whole rebrand that we're doing right now. So we're going to have fun little items, you know, with the rebrand that they can get. And, you know, I just thought that would be a fun program for people. People love stuff. They want, you know, if you can make some cheap buttons or a t-shirt or something, you know, you can really get more. So that's one of the things that we are working on building right now, which hopefully we'll do, because our foster numbers have definitely dropped. Our adoption numbers for dogs have dropped, which is weird because we never, ever have that problem. Historically, my dogs fly through the shelter unless we have behavioral issues, which we have quite a few of those as well. But that's just a couple of fun things. So a couple of people have already emailed me, but I'm happy to share. And Wait While is now interfacing with Adapets. So Jeremy definitely took that suggestion, thankfully, and is working on that. And our new Shelter Buddy platform, the sky's the limit right now. So hopefully there's a lot more to come.
Elizabeth, I think your foster referral thing is brilliant. I don't know if anyone else has thought of that, but what a genius idea. Is that working? Are people actually doing it?
We haven't started it yet. We're just building, and it was an idea that I had last week. So, and honestly, you could reach out to, the pizza box thing somebody posted, and I'm like, oh yeah, I totally forgot about that tactic. I'm like, oh, I'm already like emailing my marketing department, my marketing department person. And I'm like, I need flyers. So, talk to your local people. Maybe they get a free pizza. Maybe they get, like talk to the people in your neighborhood. It might not have to cost you anything. Maybe they get a coupon for restaurants, or maybe they get, whatever it is that you're able to do. But, talk to people about it. Talk to your fosters and see who they're connected with. Maybe they have, things that they can put in the pot to enhance fostering.
Thank you so much. Anybody else want to share something you're doing that is working?
I'll go. Hi, this is Michelle from the Norfolk Animal Care Center in Virginia. Several months back, we really started focusing on applying for and writing different grants that were going to help support our partners and to help us support them, and then for them to partner with us on different grants. So that has been really successful, the way we can not funnel animals through them, but we accept the animals, but then support them when they pull the animals from us, which is something that we didn't do before. It was always all the expenses were on them to pull from the municipal shelter. So just kind of getting creative with funding. And then our foster coordinator, she's come up with cute little slogans, like the day trip was like our knack pack adventures, and the slumber knack program. And it's just new things for our community that the media is really kind of latched onto, and they love the catchy little slogans, and they keep promoting it, and our city has latched onto it too. They keep putting it in their newsletters and on all their social media platforms. And it's just a novel idea for this area. For our city. There's a lot of cities around us, but I think we've just gotten a lot of support just because we're coming up with new things that somebody somewhere has picked up and loved, and so they're promoting it. And thanks, Kelly, our foster shout outs and please several times a day on social media on every post. And it's just skyrocketed, and it works. I can't even believe that just putting that out there, hey, we're still looking for fosters, on any post that you make has just increased our numbers and applications anyway.
Thanks, Michelle. It's awesome. Well, we have an exciting announcement about something related to community cats. We know many of the national orgs are really taking a turn towards a heavy focus on community cats because organizations still aren't releasing every cat that they could, and they're going into shelters and they're dying. And so we have our Monica Frienden of American Pets Live here to introduce someone who is trying to do something to change that.
Yeah, thank you. Really quick, I want to introduce Deborah Cribbs, who is on the call today. And Deborah and I are doing a webinar next Thursday, and I'll drop the link in the chat for it. Deborah's the chairperson for the 10 Movement and the Joni Bernard Foundation for Cats in Cincinnati. And we're going to do our webinar on driving a culture shift and changing the way your community thinks about community cats. So as intake numbers are rising for you guys right now, I think it's more important than ever that we get community buy-in on return to home and return to field practices. So we're going to be talking about that next Thursday. And Deborah, if you want to just jump in real quick and introduce yourself.
Hi everyone. This has been really interesting. I know I come from a very different perspective as a funder, and I really respect what you guys do on the ground. But maybe what we can offer you next week is a little bit of good news, because the work that we've done in conjunction with all of you guys here in Cincinnati has really made a difference. Our numbers are actually tremendous. I just got a report yesterday. And we'd really like to show you the campaigns that we've worked really hard on, and even offer you the opportunity to use them if you'd like. So looking forward to seeing you all next week.
Great, thank you so much. Yeah, there's so much plug and play stuff now. We We just shared last week a community cats communication guide along with this webinar. These are really plug and play tools you can use when you're communicating about cats in your community, because I think to bring everything we're talking about home, we need to remember the basic principles right now of keeping pets out of shelters, finding ways to do high volume adoption and foster placement, waiving and reducing fees on both the intake end and the outcomes end, telling the community we need help. One of the things we are noticing in here in Texas is even in shelters where animals are being mass euthanized for space, which is happening right now, those shelters aren't typically doing pleas to let the community know what's happening. And so people just don't know. And if they don't know, they can't help. And so we wanted to come today to bring a whole bunch of tools and resources and ideas together and let you know, we have several of the American Pets Alive instructors here, a number of the national orgs here. And I think I speak for all of us when I say we're all here to help. I think Catherine, you're here, right? From the association.
Yep, I'm here.
And y'all just came off your conference, which is really focused on this human side, right?
Well, I think we've always been focused on the human side because, as we know, there's, you know, two ends of the leash. So yeah, I think the more that we can talk about how we work with communities and how we engage our communities to help us, the more we can save animal lives. And we've seen it over and over again. And this past year with COVID, you know when we ask the community for help, they're going to step up. So I also want to let you all know that we are going to be getting our recordings put together for the conference this past week, and the diversity, equity, and inclusion items will be free and accessible. And so everybody can take advantage of it, and we'll make sure that everyone gets the link so that you can have your teams watch them and just really help spread that message. And then also, if you can get everybody in your organization to complete the DEI survey, we have already 1,500 completed surveys of animal welfare people across the country. We want more. We want to get to 2,000. So please complete that survey. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks so much, Catherine. Okay, we are about out of time. Thanks so much to all of our speakers. Welcome to everybody who this might be your first or second call. We will not be here next week because it's the Best Friends National Conference. We hope you will all be attending that. But we will be back here the following. We're going to start sending out emails before the calls so that you know what the topic is coming up. And we really look forward to seeing you back here, not next week, but the following, and hope everybody has a great weekend and a great couple of weeks.